Oh, there we go. All right. Hey, everybody. How's it going? So this is episode 6,354. Oh, no, wait. The 56. The dark side.
Yeah.
Best cookies.
Yeah, we do.
So I'm joined by Loki's Witch and Dorian J. And let's
Salute.
see. Who do we have in the chat? We've got Comedic Witch in the chat. So how's it going, Zabora? What is she saying? I've noticed a lot of thumbs down on my videos. She's angry. Oh, okay, yes. And she can't lash out or she will lose access to YouTube. I love it. I'm in the dark part of YouTube again, watching famous celebrity murderers like Laura Bush and Matt Roderick. And cupcakes. Kawaii's Witch says, and cupcakes. Yes, I agree. Dark Side has the best cookies and cupcakes. And Robert Redmond's in. Hey, Robert. So how was last week's episode? I know I wasn't available. Sorry about that. I had like a second attack of flu.
Well, it wasn't that bad. A lot of fun. We got to try out the new games for Jackbox Party Pack 4. There's even some monster dating you might be interested in. So,
monster dating, huh? Is that like massive dating, or is that like dating a monster?
Oh, dating a monster. You got your blobs, you got your ghosts, you have your witches. So,
well, dating a monster could lead to some very interesting encounters.
Yeah.
don't write it off till you tried it. That's all.
I believe I read some mangas about that. About some monster girls. I'm not sure I'm allowed to talk about it here though. So
We don't talk about what happens in D&D. How a half dragon is made.
Yeah, really, or half works. So if a halfling and a halfling get together, do they make a quarter?
Ooh.
No, they make another half because they can't get half of it up.
Oh, okay.
Now, come on, guys. Let's not be speciesist here, okay?
Speciesist.
This is a good, clean family show.
When did we become a good, clean family show? Tell me. I want the date and I want the time. When did we become that?
We became a good family show the moment we put aside our disbeliefs and picked up good family morals. So,
as you take a shot of vodka.
Yeah, really. I don't think we've ever had good. I think we've had like maybe good morals and family value for maybe about 5 minutes towards the end of any show.
PSA, don't eat Tide Pods, kids.
Yeah, really, exactly. I don't know. That must. I think that probably started out as a joke, right? It had to have. Who
it did.
Thinks of those candies?
I don't know, but it started out as just a funny little meme, and then kids started doing it because kids are fucking stupid nowadays, apparently.
Yeah, but were they serious about it, or were they joking about it?
I think some were joking, and then you get all the hospital reports of the idiots who actually have done it, and then you watch the videos of people doing it. Granted, I did find a recipe on Tumblr for edible plastic and blue Jello to put into the edible plastic to make it look like one. But the ones that they are using, Bella, stop it, are actually the Tide Pods, which have the white liquid and then the orange and the blue on top.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, all I can say is, if you're over 18 and you're doing this, good riddance. We don't need you in the gene pool. If you're under 18 and doing this, why the hell are you doing this just to get friends? You're being stupid.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure a majority of people that are doing it who are kids or young teens who are doing it because, oh, it'll make you cool.
Right, yeah. And then you got to wonder, like, where are those kids' parents?
And why aren't their kids' parents more active in their lives?
Yep.
And that's what's kind of upsetting.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's really funny? All these people are taking Tide Pods, but you know, if you open up your walls, there's an unlimited amount of cotton candy in your walls right now.
Yep.
Just go bust open your walls and have some cotton candy. So.
Mm-hmm. And also, if you look at your pipes in your house, there's a chocolate frosting at the edges.
Oh my god.
All kinds of goodies.
And if you're like me and you hate scraping off your car windows every morning, just boil some hot water and throw it on your windshield. Boom. All the snow's gone.
Really? Does that work?
No.
What happens if you do that?
Yeah.
Oh, really? The glass just shatters, huh?
Yeah, like if you take a mug, put it in your freezer overnight, put some boiling water in there, and your glass will shatter. So.
Oh, wow. So if anybody ever has their car parked in the snow and they pour hot water on their windshield, that's not a good idea. Well,
it's about as effective as adding traction to your tire by putting screws in it. So
putting screws in your tires or putting nails in them. Yeah, that's definitely Darwin Awards. Let's see. I don't know. I got away with a ton of shit behind my parents. Oh, talking about the parents being not available. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, shall we get into the video?
I'm game.
I'm game. I'll probably be on mute because my rabbit's being a bitch again.
Okay.
She keeps on digging at her cage.
Okay. Let me see. Okay, there we go. All right. So I'll share the window. So let me know. You see the screen?
That is a positive.
All right, cool. And let me turn the volume up. Do you hear it?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Chuck Smith.
And I'm Carol Matriciana. Welcome to this edition of The Pagan Invasion.
Satanism. It is a subject that can produce a variety of reactions, from incredulous disbelief to paralyzing fear. Yet even if one were to choose not to believe in the reality of Satanism, one would at least have to acknowledge its growing entry into mainstream society. Movies like Exorcist III and Witches fill the theaters and living rooms throughout our nation. Sadistic violence floods feature films with the bodies of the dead and maimed.
Huh? Did somebody say something?
Oh no, I was just wondering, like, the whole pagan invasion thing there. It's just like, I never realized that pagans had an Operation D-Day and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We've been doing it for a very long time, even before Christianity came around. We were plotting at various pagan beliefs were plotting it.
Yeah.
I just see on our video here, we're not on present to everybody, because every time I talk, my little picture's popping up.
Okay,
I was about to say that.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, chat. Jeez.
You're presenting to everyone. Okay.
Oh man, if that is true, there was a pagan invasion, then we are doing a worse job than the war on drugs. My God, we're taking forever. No results at all.
Yeah, really.
We have to be slow.
Yeah, just think of all the pre-Christian traditions out there that plotting away. What were you going to say, Loki?
I said we're going pretty damn slow because we know how to do it correctly. Apparently.
Yeah.
Shit. We just don't go in and kill people, which is the Christian way to do it.
Music videos have turned increasingly pornographic. More than 50 major black metal rock groups preach satanic messages and even call for the worship of the Prince of Darkness. Occult images of superheroes with magical powers of sorcery.
Okay, now how the hell is He-Man satanic or even pagan? Anybody explain that to me?
I don't know. As far as I know, in He-Man, they don't have anything to do with Christianity, God, or anything like that. They just have like the power of Grayskull, and it's supposed to be sorcery that turns them into this superhero. That's about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
what's pagan or satanic about that?
Maybe just the powers of a wizard or whatever it was that turned him into the hero, but that's about it. And the rest of it is good morals of don't be a douchebag.
Well, I don't know. I don't think there's anything satanic or pagan about He-Man. I just don't see it. But you know, maybe I'm just some dumb guy.
Fill the hearts and the minds of children with cartoons and video games. 75 years of films, 50 years
Sorry.
of TV, and decades of recorded music have brought Americans to an insatiable lust for sex, violence, witchcraft, perversion, and occultic mysteries.
I don't know. Do you guys have an insatiable lust for all that?
Well, I would say more rock and roll, but you know what? To each their own. That guy doesn't have enough hair anyway to really understand the art of satanic music. So,
why you got to bring baldness into it?
I was about to say that's a little. You're bald shaming now.
You know what, Dorian? You need to check your hair privilege. Okay,
I'll check it I'll check my hair privilege at the barber. So
you better check your hair privilege because there are many of us who don't have hair privilege, and I am so tired of people like you in your high and mighty hair privilege position talking down to people like us. You don't know what we go through. Okay.
I'd like to say that I apologize to the bald community, and now I come out as a homosexual, and the struggle is real, and I look better to being a better person. I am sorry.
I love you guys.
Hair privilege.
With all your baldness and privilege.
Yeah.
Century has brought this nation to an unbelievable and yet undeniable obsession with the macabre. In a word, our society has marched boldly and defiantly through the doorway of Satan.
That's more than just a word. That's like several words.
This fascination with the works of darkness and the occult is seen at every level of our society. From the absolutely phenomenal success of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, come on.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are satanic. That is amazing.
How? Who? Where? What? How?
I'm with you on this one. I've watched all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies and most of the series that they've had out, and no, they're not satanic. They're just kind of creepy looking.
And they're even named after Christian artists.
Exactly.
Donatello. I don't know the rest of them.
Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, Michelangelo.
There you go. Those are all very good Christian artists, Renaissance artists from mainly Italy, I think.
Yeah. And honestly, they got a lot of kids to do martial arts and stay healthy. Granted, the whole idea of eating pizza every meal didn't help, but it got kids up and moving. They wanted to take martial art classes to be just like their favorite Ninja Turtle. I know I did it because I was a stupid child and I wanted to be able to kick somebody in the face. But if anything, it got kids to play with their imagination. So
yes, I mean these yeah, so I don't know. I mean I'm not seeing it. They're making quite a stretch here. That's just my opinion.
To Anton LaVey's First Church of Satan in San Francisco.
Okay, so in 2 frames we went from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to Anton LaVey's Church of Satan. So
I don't don't know what's wrong with you, man. Those connect very well.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm just not seeing it. You know, okay. Must be the baldness affecting me.
Our culture is being sucked deeper and deeper into the vortex of satanic influence and domination. Today, according to our research, multiplied thousands.
I love how they say, according to our research. What research? Oh, you mean that Bible thingy? Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, excellent job. Good research.
I just want to point out the green screen effects are on par. Michael Bay in Transformers, like that is so realistic right now.
Yeah, that computer generated background from the 80s or 90s, whenever this was, just not cutting it.
Free world are involved in Satanism. A recent publication from Europe reports that there are up to 100,000 black witches, Satanists, and
Now, why'd they have to bring race into it? So what if there's 100,000 black witches? Are they trying to judge like there shouldn't be that many? Are they trying to like diminish that amount? That's I don't know. I find offense to that.
and chaos magicians in Great Britain alone.
So what if they're chaotic?
In Germany, an estimated 10,000 people practice black magic. Law enforcement agencies across North America are inundated with criminal cases involving satanic activity.
Really? They're inundated with it?
Yeah, because every time a Satanist kills a person in a satanic sacrifice, they leave a little note for the police. Please disregard this. This was involved in our religious practice. Please leave us alone.
I don't think they're inundated. I think that they were inundated with satanic panic, but actual crimes, no. I mean, like we've seen before in other videos, yeah, there are crazy people out there who kill believing like either they're doing it for Satan or something like that, but those are actually pretty rare. And especially back then, I agree there was quite a few of them, but they were pretty rare still. And even today, some mass murders, thankfully, are very rare.
From grave desecrations to child pornography and molestations, ritual abuse, animal mutilations, human sacrificial murder, cannibalism, rape, sodomy, and defacement of churches and synagogues.
Leading experts on Satanism and crime in America speculate that there is an international network of Satanists.
I love how they say they speculate. It's not that there's no facts, there's no evidence. It's they speculate there are. It's like I can speculate about life beyond our planet, but it's speculation.
Who are responsible for child pornography. Satanism is on the rise, and it's
sadly, child pornography doesn't have anything to do with the occult and doesn't have anything to do with Satanism.
not about to go away.
Uh-oh. We're moving into something dark and sinister, you can tell. Don't go through that door. No!
Teenagers across America are playing with a new and frightening game, Satanism.
So during this time that all these headlines were coming out, they were playing off of this satanic panic that was going on. And so all these headlines would put Satan in and ritual abuse and all this stuff. And, you know, oftentimes it was not happening. It was made up. The kids involved were making it up. It wasn't actually happening. The cases where there was abuse going on, it didn't have anything to do with Satanism. It had to do with the parents or the people involved. Kind of like, oh, and I'm sure you guys have probably seen that thing in the news recently about that family that they found. There was like 13 of their children that were chained and put in cages in their basement. Did you hear about
yeah.
this?
That was horrible, man. Like, holy cow.
Yeah, and the parents who did that, I mean, they kept them chained in the basement for like I don't know how long, but there were some of those kids had become adults. I think the oldest one was 27 or 21.
7, I think they said it was. So
Okay, so it's
looking at
like
that,
27. So I mean, that's just sick. I mean, these people are nuts. And, you know, that doesn't have anything to do with Satanism. And it's the same thing with all these other things where there's, you know, these things that are involved. These people are just nuts. They are, I don't know what happened with them, but they're just nuts. But it doesn't have anything to do with Satanism. You know, it's like they like to blame everything, every little crime. If it has a pentagram or 666 involved, somehow it's involved in Satanism, and that's it's annoying. It's just it's like complete utter bullshit.
Well,
that's like saying that's all right. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say with that case, though, they even said that the guy, when he was confessing to it, said, well, this is what God told me was right to do. They needed to live by my rules. They had to do what God wanted them to do. And the fact that he's saying God and people will go, oh, no, he's a Satanist, they obviously are not paying attention to what he's saying.
was that the case that just recently happened?
Yes.
I think it was in somewhere California.
It was actually kind of close to where my parents live. Rancho Cucamonga, I think.
Okay.
I'm not 100% on that one. I'd have to look it up again. Well, if I do that, go ahead and do what you're gonna do.
Sure. I mean, yeah.
Their school books are marked up with satanic symbols, upside-down crosses, pentagrams, the number 666.
So all of these things, they're not satanic imagery. It's actually Christian imagery. I mean, that's one of the things I think that they really forget, is that an upside-down cross is a Christian symbol. 666 is from the Bible. And even Satan, the concept of Satan comes from Christianity. So if anything, it's Christian imagery.
Their fashions glamorize the demonic. They are seduced by heavy metal heroes, many of whom feature satanic imagery in their songs and album covers. For some of these young people, the fixation on violence, evil, and death leads them to commit abominable crimes, including suicide and human sacrifice. Joseph Beeson, 18, and Edward Bennett, 19, both raised in Mormon homes, drew blood from their own veins and mutilated animals in satanic rituals. But that wasn't enough, so they eventually killed 18-year-old Michelle Moore. Sean Sellers, 17, the youngest death row inmate in Oklahoma, brutally murdered his mother and stepfather because they tried to prevent his satanic rituals. Scott Waterhouse, 17, tortured and killed a 12-year-old girl in a grisly satanic slaughter.
Do they really have to use this dramatic music when they're talking about this? I mean, this stuff is shocking enough. You don't need the extra little boost.
I think they just like the music.
Yeah, I guess so. But it's really not shocking. I mean, it's already shocking. You don't need to like try to make it more shocking.
Yeah.
Pete Rowland, 17, formed a satanic cult with 3 other boys. After sacrificing a cat, they turned on Steve Newberry, the 4th member of their group, and beat him to death with baseball bats while chanting, "A sacrifice for Satan." Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, was convicted of 13 murders and 30 other felonies. During the summer of 1985, he beat, strangled, raped, sodomized, shot, and slashed his victims in a rampage of sadistic satanic slayings.
So this is how a lot of, like, especially like the 80s satanic panic came about. There were people who were mass murderers going around killing people. But then there was also, you know, for example, like McMartin Preschool, where there was accusations that there was some kind of a satanic cult within the daycare center, and that these kids were being molested and drinking blood and witnessing them murder animals and all this stuff. And then other people claimed that it was happening in their neighborhood, and there were people who claimed that they were part of this and they knew about it, were involved in it, and it just kind of like it spread like wildfire. But there were two arguments. One is that the reason why they're not catching, like, for example, the satanic cult for McMartin and other preschools and stuff like that, is because they're involved with the police and paying off the police, and it's a very intricate network of these Satanists who are going around doing these things, and they're lying for each other and disposing of the bodies, and even so far as doing like mind control and all this stuff. That's what they believe is happening. And then you have the flip side, which is where these events are happening, where these mass murderers are going around committing these murders, and people are calling that satanic, saying that they're doing it for satanic rituals. So which is it? Is it that there's a sophisticated network of Satanists going around who are getting away with murder? Or are these just psychos running around doing it in the name of Satan? It's that's the thing that is always bothered me. It's like you can't have both. You can't have your cake and eat it too. I mean, does that make sense? Did I explain myself? Do you understand what I meant?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Whoa.
Go ahead.
No, I just noticed the back feed on your end. Picky on you a little bit. But yeah, I did find that information. It was Paris, California, and one of the people in the chat did point out that the oldest was actually 29 years old.
Oh, wow, 29. Does it say anything else about the case?
Well, the community, everything was shocked by it because they knew this family to be an outgoing, kind family. So, and just looking through it, one of the kids was adopted, a 6-year-old who was locked in a basement and force-fed carrots. So, but all I know is the case is disgusting, and I hope those people go away for a very long time.
Yeah, and they were saying the last time I heard about this case was a lot of these kids, they've been locked up for so long, they have like the mental capacity of a first grader.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it is horrible. Ugh. But I'm glad that they found them, that they escaped and that they've that they're out of that hell. But I mean, wow, they have such a long recovery ahead of them,
They do, and if it wasn't for the one teenager that escaped, this would have never been discovered as soon as it was. I mean, I think the only time it probably would have been discovered is if somebody had passed away.
Yeah.
And they were doing pretty good at not letting anyone die, as far as I can read in the articles, so.
Ugh.
In the spring of '89, the dead bodies of 13 victims, one of whom was only 16 years old, were found mutilated and buried in a common grave near the American-Mexican border in Matamoros.
So this was a gang-related thing, and they claimed it was a satanic gang, but I never really saw anything that actually linked them to it, except that they were calling it that.
Satanic drug smuggling cult believed that sacrificing humans in bizarre rituals would give them magical protection. The victims had been dealt blows with a hammer, and some suffered horrible mutilations, including the removal of brains, hearts, and other organs that were then boiled in blood. For those of us who have been involved in cult and occult research over the years, these atrocious reports are unfortunately nothing new. They are only the tip of the iceberg.
So a quick question for you guys. I've been doing YouTube now for about almost coming up to my 2nd year, and I've done a lot of research on this. Do I qualify as a member of this research organization now?
Oh, yeah, you're an expert.
I have about almost 2 years of experience. I'm just wondering if I can apply to be an occult researcher.
Oh, I think you should be teaching courses on it.
I was thinking I might do a TED talk actually. So
Yeah, I think you could go school to school and do things on this now, Dorian. I think you'd be perfect for the job.
Yep. And remember,
Awesome.
Dorian, all you have to do is, if it doesn't have anything whatsoever directly connected to Christianity in only specific ways, like only certain good passages or good Bible verses, then it's obviously satanic.
Or I'll contact Schnoblin and see what I can do then. So thank you guys so much for this.
Yes. So, yes. So in a couple of years from now, we'll be debunking videos that Dorian is doing.
I know, it's going to be fun.
I'll let you know. First, I have to grow a beard, though. That's the only requirement I have left. So,
well, you're a member of the Illuminati, right?
I'm part of the gay Hollywood music Illuminati. We're kind of like an offshoot of the main Illuminati branch. So,
oh, right.
Oh, yeah, that one.
My rap career hasn't really started off yet. I'm a little behind on my human sacrifice quota. So,
oh, really? Well, you better get on top of that.
Well, too bad you can't be like me, who's part of the lesbian abortion part of the Illuminati. I mean, we're above and beyond our quota. Wow. Yeah, sorry. Oh, fuck.
So is there some kind of connection there between lesbians and murdering people? Is that what you're trying to say, Loki?
Well, we are women. What's the easiest thing for us to do?
I don't know.
Make a sandwich.
Cry uncontrollably whenever something doesn't go your way.
Oh, fuck both of you. Convince young ladies it's a great idea to get an abortion and focus on your career.
Oh, okay.
Because women trust women.
Yes.
Wow, I just sounded like a huge creeper.
I'd like to say for the record, I am not with her.
For the record, I don't really support any of this convincing people to do that. It's your body, your choice stuff in the end. And I'm not really with the Illuminati. I'm a spy. I'm a pagan spy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So shh, don't tell anyone. Wait, we're live, aren't we?
Yeah, really. Oops. That's kind of a whole 12 people now. Friends, and they'll tell 12 friends. And, all right.
Hidden or secret is now arrogantly brandished in public by Satanists who recruit openly and display macabre graffiti and gruesome mutilations in public places. Englishman Aleister Crowley, a leading inspiration in today's revival of Satanism, was a bisexual heroin addict and demonologist who was violently opposed to Christianity.
I don't think he was violently opposed to Christianity. Obviously, they haven't read any of his books.
In his book Magic, he detailed the proper procedure for performing a child sacrifice.
But it also, there's a little, I don't know if you can see my mouse cursor, but there's also a little footnote right here.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, you see it. Okay. And I don't think it corresponds. Let me see. A male child of perfect innocence and high intelligence. But anyhow, it does. Usually in the books they talk about, they're not doing it right here, but he's talking about an orgasm. So Crowley was actually against abortion. He felt that was sacrilegious, and he also felt that the life force was a life force. So if you essentially had an orgasm and nothing came about from it, that was a sacrifice. That was sacrificing life. And so that's what he means by a male child of perfect innocence and high intelligence. But it doesn't say it here. I wonder if I can get that quote.
No, don't walk away, man. You're the one in charge of the video. That's my job to walk away when I get bored.
You're on your way to the bookshelf.
All right. Well, let me ask this question. Do you know where it's located at?
No.
Okay. Thank you. That's why I have to do it.
Damn it, why don't I have Siri? All I have is Bixby. Bixby won't help me with shit.
Siri doesn't know.
For all people who are bored right now, go subscribe to my channel. Link in the description down below.
Hey, this isn't boring. Now all I have to do is find it.
Oh man, it doesn't even give me the correct page when I Google it. I can always just yell at our chat and stuff like that. Like, who's all in our chat room right now? We got 12 people watching. Oh, Sex Magic, Jimmy said. Jimmy, all right, very nice. Which Nicole says Lilokin is a Templar. I don't know. I don't really see him as a Templar. Really, I see him more maybe as a. Maybe like one of those. Maybe one of those guys who rides his little mini cars in the parade with a little fancy red hat. You know.
Was that more bald jokes?
No. I've evolved my humor a little bit in the last couple minutes. So.
Sure. Okay, so here it is. So, although Crowley's intersperses cautions against literal interpretation of his remarks throughout this chapter, his detractors frequently cite the statement out of context to assert that he advocated literal human sacrifice, a practice he repudiated.
Seeming just like the Church of Satan, Crowley was against children being sacrificed.
Yeah. So I mean, they always take that literally, but you know, Crowley was never convicted of human sacrifice or murder or anything like that. And even so, in none of the temples that he was in, there was like mounds and mounds of bodies that would have happened if they took that literally. So I don't know. I think Crowley was kind of like a troll of the 1940s because a lot of his stuff is very kind of inflammatory. It's like, okay, what were you trying to do here, Crowley? Were you trying to piss people off or make them think crazy shit? So anyhow.
Crowley's powerful influence is seen in such groups as the OTO, Ordo Templi Orientis, and Colonel Michael Aquino's Temple of Set, an offshoot from the Church of Satan. In 1966, Anton LaVey founded the first Church of Satan in San Francisco, which at one point claimed 10,000 members. LaVey authored the Satanic Bible and Satanic Rituals, two of Satanism's most important books. Astonishingly, when the Satanic Bible was first published, it outsold the Holy Bible 2-to-1 in many parts of America and 10-to-1 on some college campuses.
Outsold, though. So that doesn't count for all the Bibles that are handed out or found in hotel rooms.
It teaches tenets that are totally opposed to goodness, purity, and selfless behavior.
Hail, Satan! Hail, Satan!
To the Satanist, good is evil and evil is good. The truth is a lie and a lie is a truth. Sweet is
sour. She's confusing herself. What were you going to say?
I don't care who you are. If you're a Satanist and you're telling me that lemonade is sour, not sweet, you're either making it really wrong or you have horrible taste buds.
Well, there's a passage in the Bible. I'm sorry, what? Go ahead.
No, yeah, you go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say the reason why they do this is because there's a Bible passage. I don't know exactly where it was. I'm just paraphrasing, but essentially it said, in a certain time, everything will be reversed. Good will be evil and man will, so it predicts this. So that's why they say that Satanism reverses all these things, because they tie it into that Bible passage.
But I've talked to Satanists online. I've talked to Satanists in person. the stuff that she's explaining right now, like, it's laughable. I've asked them straight up, is this true? Because I wanted to see, you know what, maybe you never know. And they look at me like I'm dumb. This is the exact same stuff right here. It's, oh, I disagree with them, so automatically they are the monster under your bed. They're the boogeyman in your closet.
Exactly.
Bitter and bitter is sweet. And everything is twisted around the other way.
The Satanists have merely followed the pantheist way of thought to its logical conclusion. If there are no absolutes, if God doesn't exist, he hasn't set absolute limits to what we can do. So therefore, anything that the self decides it wants, the self can go after.
We believe in greed, we believe in selfishness, we believe in all of the lustful thoughts that motivate man, because this is man's natural feeling.
And therefore, Satanists take that to its extreme and say, if I want to be violent, I can be violent. If I want to hurt others to gain my way, then I can hurt others to gain my way.
Yeah.
The Satanic Bible also says for your every action, you're going to get a reaction. So you better accept the consequences. So the Satanic Bible says, if I was to slap you in the face, I should be expecting a slap to the face, if not worse, coming back to me.
Yeah. And also, if you think that you suddenly are like free of any kind of moral agency and you start going out in some kind of a crime spree, you're going to get put in jail. You know, first of all, I think the majority of people, they're not going to do it. We just don't have the desire to go around just like random punching people or committing any kind of crime. Most people have their own moral agency. You know, they don't have to have anybody watching them 24/7 because they actually go through life and just they just don't steal, and they don't beat up random people for no reason, you know? And if anybody does do that, well, they suffer the consequences for it. We have laws in our society, and they break laws, they go to jail. But it's like Christians, they make the mistake of believing that the Bible came first, then morality. No. Those morals were already there, especially like in the Code of Hammurabi, if I'm saying that correctly. But then they got put into the Bible. So the morals were already there. They were already part of many societies going way back. You know, I'm sure that probably in caveman days, we figured out, oh, murder is bad. You know, we figured it out. Rape is bad. We figured it out. You know, killing babies is bad. We figured it out. Stealing is bad. We figured it out. You know, and the Bible simply adopted those things and said, well, we'll make them, you know, part of our doctrine or whatever. But there's only 3 or 4 commandments that actually have anything to do with crime. The rest of those commandments, the remaining 6, have to do with how you should worship God and why you should worship God. So less than half of them have anything to do with our morals.
Here's one thing I described. I was talking to someone about the Satanic Bible, and they asked me about gluttony and stuff like that. I was a Christian guy, and here's the way I described it. The Bible says your body is a temple, so you got to treat it right. The Satanic Bible says, you know what, if you're going to eat 12 Big Macs and drink 3 liters of Coke a day, you can do that, but here are the health consequences that are going to suck at you. You have the knowledge, you do your own thing, but you better accept it.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the best way to put it down. Like, there's no real big moral question there. It's do what is right or you will get fucked.
All right, moving on.
There are generally 4 different groups of Satanists. We would like to classify them as the dabbler. Then you have your religious Satanist. Then you have your non-traditional Satanist. And then your generational Satanist. The dabbler we would classify as the
I like how he just pick a picture of some random heavy metal guy from the 80s. Oh, yeah, he's a dabbler.
teenager. The teenager would simply learn some things from his friends at school, dabble a little bit of the Ouija board, go down the library or the local bookstore and pick up a book and kind of do his own thing. Not real dangerous, but he can be moved into further areas which could be criminal or dangerous in nature.
The dabblers are the people who are putting the graffiti up on walls, knocking over tombstones, and making a general nuisance of themselves in the public. They are the ones also who will do the animal sacrifices, and they're really novices. They're considered lower level Satanists by those who are higher up into the satanic realm. The religious Satanists are protected by law. Anton LaVey's First Church of Satan in San Francisco would be an example of that. They are religious in their approach, and they try not to violate any man-made laws because it is not productive for their own self-interest.
Now, the non-traditional Satanist is a gentleman or lady or the group of people who would take certain ideologies, develop a cult, usually polarized around some central theme, oftentimes taken from a biblical aspect, and use that to commit crimes, or they may not commit any crimes, but for what we're talking about for these purposes, the non-traditional Satanist is oftentimes the most dangerous.
Now, then there are generational Satanists. These are people who would have Satanism in their family, and it's passed down from generation to generation, just as the name would intimate. And these Satanists would produce all kinds of horrors secretly.
From infancy, they have learned all these things. They have been molested, forced to drink blood, eat feces, urinated upon, sodomized, and just from generation to generation, it continues.
Their main teaching is that Satan had a part in creating the world with God, and he was wrongfully thrown out of heaven when he asked for equal power.
So now they start mixing in the story of Lucifer,
Along with Jehovah God, and that one day he would regain his rightful place. So we have to make his army bigger. So the more recruits there are in Satanism and the occult on the earth, the quicker his army would grow, and then he would take over and overthrow Christ and the Christian church.
Worshipping of Satan is not a crime in the United States of America. It's protected under the First Amendment. Therefore, if you see a group of people dancing around the fire,
first of all, those aren't Satanists. They're probably pagans or Wiccans.
They're not committing any crime. There's nothing that the United States law enforcement can do.
It's not against the law to be a Satanist or to be a member of a witchcraft group.
And it's also not illegal to be a member of Christianity or a Catholic church.
Yeah, or to be a doorknob worshiper. I don't really care.
No. It's illegal to be a doorknob worshiper.
Hey, leave my church out of this, man.
Hey, your church of the doorknob is illegal, and you need to stop. Whatever it is you guys do in secret, you need to stop it right now. It's illegal.
Or what you form a religion with.
It's going to open up demonic doors.
I don't investigate the religion. It's the crime I investigate.
There are no statistics to prove anywhere in the United States of America or the world that this stuff is widespread. But it's my opinion that it's more widespread than you can shake a stick at.
In Britain, we are beginning to see that Satanism is widespread. From the contacts we have through social services, voluntary agencies, and the police, we are beginning to monitor the situation, therefore developing a picture which is showing that we have a very serious problem.
Priests, ministers, doctors, police officers, judges, businessmen, oilmen, teenagers are all linked together for one purpose: to sacrifice whatever they want to Satan.
It would be a whole lot easier if these people wore, had horns and a pitchfork and a red suit, but they just don't. They could be your next door neighbor.
Glenn Hobbs is an ex-Satanist who was originally initiated into Satanism as a child by his grandfather. I recently asked him to reflect on some of his experiences.
My family was, in some senses, royalty in the occult. We had a real pure bloodline that everybody in my family had been priests or priestesses
So now we get to the part where there's people who, for whatever delusional reason, want to make up these stories. Somehow they're part of some kind of a generational satanic cult, which is utter bullshit because they've never actually found anything like that. They've never found any kind of a demonic or devil worshiping or occult cult that's going around murdering people. I mean, this is just a fabrication, but you know, as we're all well aware of, people like Bill Schnoebelen and this guy and Greg Reed and Zachary King and all these people, they claim this stuff happened, but it's just bullshit. I don't know what drives them to do this. I guess it's for attention or something. I don't know what it's really for.
Well, I've always seen it more as a way to verify your arguments. Like, I can make up complete bullshit, but if I said, oh, here is my experience with it, it gives a little bit more validity to it. Like, you may not care about me before, but now I have this on there, so you got to care about me.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Okay. I agree. Yeah, definitely.
And I was to take over that position. I had been chosen to take over that position.
Glenn, can you explain the different purposes of ritualistic abuse to children?
This was part of the systematic thing that they were doing. They were trying to make all my feelings towards blood, towards abuse, towards all these things seared, so that I had no type of emotional response to it whatsoever. Now,
why would they want to do that?
When I saw the blood of the animals that were cut, and most of the time they would hold the animal over me and they'd slit its throat and the blood would drip down over my body. And, you know, I was nude, and then they would force me to do sexual acts. And then we'd be passed around to the different cult members, and they would have sexual relations with us.
Okay. So what ritual is that? Where is that from? Which page from the Satanic Bible is that one from?
I think at the time that it was happening, I was just so, the thought that was going through my mind was I was just so happy that it wasn't me that had got my throat slit.
As a teenager, you grew into another category of Satanism. Can you explain what happened?
I began to pray to Satan, and I began to say, take over my life, you know, make me your high priest. All these things that somehow I knew that had been ingrained in me as a child were coming back to me as a teenager. And I made that blood contract with Lucifer.
So let me see if I understand this so far. So they did this ritual with him. They killed a chicken. They poured blood on him. They passed him around as, to have sex with these people. And the purpose of it was for him to one day make a pact and turn his life over to Satan so he could become a high priest of Satan.
Yep.
Am I following this correctly so far? Okay.
I had slit my wrist and wrote out a parchment between me and Lucifer. And after that, I completely changed. I became more like a priest, more active in my life, very rebellious. I began to excel academically. I began to excel in every area of my life.
And so, okay, so this was for the purpose of distancing himself from other people and excelling in his life. Okay.
Most of the rituals I performed as a teenager were animal rituals. I didn't perform any human sacrifices because the spirit guides and the demons that were in my life at that time were instructing me that until I initially came into the coven and took over the position as the high priest, that was when I would perform human sacrifice. I was looking forward to it. I was looking forward to my first human sacrifice.
So, okay, so he wasn't even a member of the coven yet, and he definitely wasn't the high priest. So all of this was culminating to the point where he was going to excel in his life, but he still wasn't quite a member of the coven.
Yeah, apparently you're just doing it just to get ready and stuff like that, and be accepted. So I'm not sure why he hasn't reported this yet, but
yeah, but doesn't that seem like an awful lot to do? I mean, okay, so let's just run along the assumption, and we all know this is bullshit, but let's just assume that this is real, okay? Let's just say that this really happened. So if you were somebody who was in a position like this, if I grew up in a position like this where this actually happened to me, I would be so angry with those people that I would do everything within my power to get them arrested and to get them, you know, to charge them, to finally see them in court and say, these people used me, you know, as a sexual victim during this weird ritual. I would do everything within my power to get those people arrested. And he's not doing anything about this. I mean, and then he's also talking about human sacrifice. So apparently he's aware that they do human sacrifice. So this is another thing. If he's aware of a murder, he's now an accessory to murder.
Yeah, and the sad thing is like you can go to them and ask them who these people are, and they're like, well, I can't tell you, they'll kill me. The thing is the second they say that, that's one of the biggest lies the law enforcement know. That's why they don't take these guys seriously, is because half of them will claim it, and then when the police do get involved, they will refuse to say anything and just say, oh, it wasn't what you think, or they'll recant their statement to the police, but not what they've broadcasted out there.
Right.
Because what they're doing right now can be seen as a false confession to something, or admitting to something.
Mm-hmm.
At the heart of Satanism is a lust for power and pleasure. Satanists endeavor to invoke spirit beings to tap into a power source beyond the physical realm. Many are convinced that it is Satan himself who appears to them while they are in a meditative state or performing a ritual. Others speak of the apparitions as gods, goddesses, and even demons. Channeling, seances, astral projection, mediums, and visualization are all a part of the attempt to plug into a power source that is controlled by the demonic.
No, it's not. No, that's bullshit. Doesn't have anything to do with that. If anything, it trying to put somebody into an altered state, or communicate with what they believe are spirits, or communicate with possibly people over a long distance, such as an astral traveling, or you know, remote viewing, or trying to do clairaudience or clairvoyance with somebody else. So no, none of those things have to do with demonic communication. They have to do with anything. It would have to do with communication, either between, again, a disembodied spirit or another entity at a distance.
As far as the attraction, I mean, what actually...
Uh-oh, we're going through another door. Look out, guys. Get ready.
Actually would make somebody become a Satanist.
Oh, no. It's our friend, Mr. BS.
Well, for some people...
There he is.
He looks so normal, though. What's going on?
I don't know. Yeah, he's his beard is so short. He has so much hair on top of his head and so little on his chin.
People, in my case at least, it was a gradual infiltration. It was a move from things like ESP and flying saucers, and then just a very gradual, many-year slide into finally regarding Satan as my God.
So this is when his story wasn't quite so sophisticated, so...
I got into Satanism simply because of the promise of power and wealth. And by being invited to some parties which I went to, I was told I could have those things, but it was a special gift that I couldn't have until I had been initiated.
I think it can be put in one four-letter word, lust. And I don't just mean sexual lust. There is a lust for power that is part of our sinful nature. There is a lust, of course, for sexuality. And there is a kind of, C.S. Lewis talks about it as a spiritual lust, as the kind of spiritual itch to want to somehow reach into the unknown. We're fascinated by it.
As a young boy of 13, 14, I practiced.
Oh, no, this guy. We did see this before, didn't we?
They might just be reusing the clip, though, from another video.
Yeah, I think they're reusing the clips because like everything before this was not familiar. So they're reusing clips.
Okay. All right.
It's magic. When you're that age, there's no limit to the scope of your imagination. And so everything magical that we'd heard of, we tempted. Calling forth the devil, invoking demons. We tried all these things, and with some effects.
In 1981, Mark's quest to experience the more powerful side of black magic led him to start his own satanic coven, the Temple of Olympus.
As far as I'm concerned, magic is about getting what you want. Magicians are people who get what they want.
They want the quick, slick answers to life by calling down these forces so they will be able to manipulate whatever they need.
If you're not popular, you are told that certain rituals, compassion rituals, will gain you popularity or gain you prestige with the opposite sex. And this is something that is also a lure to the Satanists. It's the basic elemental carnal lusts of the flesh that draw them in.
They taught me how to kill someone, a spell, how to kill someone, a spell, how to get someone to lust for me.
From my experience, a child has turned to Satanism initially because of an emotional reason. We have many more children coming from single-parent families or where the head of the home, the father, is not taking the fatherly role.
With teenagers especially, the appeal is to rebellion. The appeal is to do whatever you can do to drive your parents crazy.
They want to supernaturally get back at their parents. And we have found a lot of teenagers wanting to do it that way. The other reason, I believe, is because the church has not met the needs of these teenagers. They have not seen the supernatural power of God in the church. They've not really seen the love of Christ amongst the people.
Today, Satanism can be seen to be more blatant than ever before. Satanic graffiti is no longer shocking, while recruiting, which was once hidden and obscure, is now visibly public. And sadly, youth are the chief targets.
Those are all future murderers who are going to grow up and kill people in the name of Satan.
Dun, dun, dun.
Exactly.
Recruiters will go out there into various high schools and draw kids into the system because they're very street smart, some of these Satanists. And they can draw these kids into it very seductively where their parents may not even know it.
Hey, hey kid, I'll give you $5 if you come with me and worship Satan. Gee, I don't know. All right, I'll make it 20.
I have young people calling me regularly, telling me that they have been involved in some sort of animal mutilation sacrifice. And the reason why they say that they go out to these animal mutilation sacrifices is because they're provided with vodka or drugs, cocaine, or free sex.
And so to cover up what I'd seen.
Wait, they were given free sex?
Damn, I thought you just had to be in a relationship for that.
Wow. Well, I didn't know that. I mean, that changes everything.
Yeah, it does.
Wow.
But they were also getting vodka, so I don't know there.
Yeah, well, Dorian might do it. Give him
yeah, but Dorian had an emergency call out real quick, so he had to go.
Oh, okay, all right. Oops.
And what I'd been taking part in, I started taking drugs, which they provided. So that was another reason for staying at the coven. They were providing me heroin.
The old proverb warning against wine, women, and song has taken on new spiritual momentum. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll is the modern cry of a rebellious youth. Satanist Aleister Crowley has indirectly...
Of course, Aleister Crowley was not a Satanist. Considered himself a magician.
influenced many leading rock groups, including the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, and Ozzy Osbourne, who even wrote a song about Crowley. Today's music industry commercializes satanic themes without concern for the souls they seduce. Even those bands who promote hardcore Satanism deny that they are Satanists, but admit that Satanism sells and that they are simply giving their fans what they want to hear. Many bands get their ideas from horror films and videos, which explicitly depict satanic rituals, death, murder, and cruel tortures. Evidence shows music laced with satanic overtones has played an important role in the lives of many of the teenagers who have been convicted of satanic killings. Night Stalker Richard Ramirez, obsessed with the music of the rock group AC/DC, admitted that their lyrics influenced his mayhem killings.
I see a lot of them that get involved in it. And it started out with the music, you know, not all rock music, mostly the things like the black metal or speed metal type things, where they have the heavy satanic type overtones to the music.
Your groups such as Venom, Slayer, Merciful Fate, these are bands that will blatantly teach these kids various occultic practices.
Hold on, they'll call it the what? The Crackuses?
Huh?
Did you say we call it the Crackuses?
Huh?
I didn't understand. What did he say they called it?
Oh, okay. Let's back it up.
Satanic type overtones to the music.
Your groups such as Venom, Slayer, Merciful Fate, these are bands that will blatantly teach these kids various occultic practices.
Various occultic practices.
It didn't sound like that on my end.
Ah, okay. Yeah, so he's trying to say that these heavy metal bands are because they use Christian symbolism such as, you know, 666 and Judas Priest and upside down crosses and even pentagrams and all this. Well, which isn't a Christian symbol, but because they're using all this Christian symbolism and all these horror imagery and, you know, stuff that the kids find cool, that they are teaching them occult practices.
Yeah. It's like the old saying, rock and roll will turn you to Satan. Well, I think rap is more or less now that thing that would probably, I don't know. I just think reading a book might turn you to Satan now, according to the church.
Yeah. Well, rock and roll music has always had this sort of a stigma. You know, I mean, there was, you know, like they would not show Elvis Presley from the waist down. And, you know, they were concerned about white women going into these black clubs and smoking pot, smoking reefer because they might get seduced by black men. And, you know, I mean, it's always been this kind of somehow, you know, music is going to make you like become something else, you know, it's going to transform you into, you know, some kind of a lustful person who can't. Demon. Yeah, right. Well, yeah, demon, but some kind of a lustful person who like gives into their you know, devil nature or whatever, you know. So it's just perpetuated. It's just ridiculous.
One of the more popular bands playing in London is a group called The Devoted Men, led by Mark, High Priest of the Temple of Olympus. Mark says he receives transmissions from demon gods and goddesses.
Yeah, well, Mark's a little off. I'm just going to put that out there.
Mark needs a little bit of help.
Yeah.
Give him the music and lyrics to perform on stage.
Very frequently there's this otherworldliness about the words themselves. It's almost as if we're not writing the words, but we're just our hand.
I mean, even just the whole body language here. Like you have this lady here on his right, and she's just sitting there. She's not in a chair. She's like sitting against his chair. And he's like sitting here like a Roman god, like on a throne. And she's just like, you know, his concubine or whatever. And even her body language, she's like quiet, and she doesn't look at him when he's talking. She tends to look towards the camera, and then he just strikes me as just somebody who's a little kind of creepy and a little full of himself.
Yeah, and I think she's a little bit of the Stockholm syndrome kind of look.
Yeah, exactly. She's kind of putting up with it.
Yeah, he's what gives us a bad name.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, there are people like that in the occult, you know. I mean, just because you study the occult or witchcraft or paganism or whatever doesn't mean you're immune from being a fucking asshole, or even being, you know, or doesn't make you immune from being a criminal. Doesn't make you immune from being a murderer or a rapist or drug addict or any of those things. It happens, you know, but one doesn't have to do with the other.
In the action, but it's not our mind. The devoted men take the music that we write for the Temple of Olympus and perform it in London at the night spots and venues before a live young audience, basically present our message.
The band's main function is to recruit new members into the outer circle of Mark's satanic cult. High priestesses Sarah and Julianne left the cult due to the inner circle's heavy dependence on black magic and perverted sex rituals.
The idea of the devoted men, which was the band that they had, was another way to try and get world domination. They thought that by being a successful rock band, that they'd get the money to go to the States and open up an enormous, complex religion over there. When you first joined the Temple of Olympus, you'd attend an outer circle meeting. And from going on to that, you wouldn't realise what was really going on in the Temple of Olympus at all, because that's only witnessed by the inner order. You'd be offering flowers and wine and reading out poetry, and everything would be very sweet and very lovely.
In Britain, we are seeing from the recruitment programs that we are watching and from the contact magazines that we have, that what is being advertised and what is actually happening in the coven are two different things.
We were told to use whitewash liberally and to cover up any signs of any shades of black magic at all that were in the inner order.
And there are many other orders who put on this front of being fairly innocent, but actually when the people are involved and initiated, they see that they're being trained into prostitution, in pornography, as well as into Satanism itself as a religion.
So that's what that lady is saying. None of the people that she's interviewing are saying that. She's saying that.
Yeah.
Glenn, how did you get out of Satanism?
I'll tell you how. He turned his life over to Jesus Christ.
He found Jesus by a missionary.
Yep. Did you report any of those crimes to the police? Oh, no, I didn't. But I turned myself over to Christ. Oh, okay, well, that's perfectly fine then.
As long as Jesus forgives you, the law doesn't have to forgive you.
Exactly. Just because you knew about murders and you were accessory to them, that's okay. You turned your life over to Jesus, so it's all good.
You're a good person now.
Exactly.
Trouble in an English class, and they assigned a tutor to me. It was a little old Christian woman.
Yep.
And for the first
nailed it
time in my life, I was confronted with something that was bigger than me and bigger than Satan. I walked into that room, and that little old lady was sitting there, and there was this holy light that was around her. I could see it. And the demons that were in my life that always went with me, they never left me. They never let me make a decision by myself. They instructed me in every area of my life. who were always with me 24 hours a day. The minute I walked into that room, they were gone. They left.
Wow. And it was all because of the holy aura of this little old lady who was a Christian. Wow. That is truly amazing. I mean, he was demon possessed. I mean, ever since he got into that circle and had chicken's blood poured all over him, all those demons.
Yeah.
That's all it took, was just some little Christian, the aura of a little old Christian lady.
All I can think is English saved your life, bro. English turned you to God.
Mm-hmm.
That is scary. Kids, don't go to English class. It'll make you go to Jesus. Run. Run from English. Oh, God.
Completely vulnerable to this woman. I was infuriated. I was so mad because I was threatened by a Christian. And it just shook everything that I believed in for a moment. And she began to share with me Jesus Christ in a new way that I had never learned before. She told me that Jesus loved me.
Hold up real quick. If she's telling him that Jesus loves him while out of school, she's technically not supposed to. Because if she's a tutor in a library in school doing this, you're supposed to be tutoring them, not lecturing them about God. So he could have easily just went to somebody and reported her, and then he would still be happily surrounded by his demons. But no, he had to listen. Wow, I just sounded like a really mean person.
No, but I mean,
no,
you're right though. I mean, because it's like, I mean, we both know that this is bullshit, but I mean, his whole story. There's no way you can grow up in the United States, at least, or any country really in the Western civilized world, and not know about Jesus Christ. I don't care if you grew up in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. Chances are you know who Jesus Christ is, or what the Bible is, or what God is. So these things where they say, "Oh, I've never heard about Jesus Christ before, and I never heard about God," or something to that effect, is like, where the hell did you grow up? It's completely ridiculous.
Concept of love. Love to me was something you took. It was something you used to get what you wanted. She told me something that has stuck with me all my life. She said, "Glenn, Jesus became a sacrifice for you willingly." Now, as a Satanist, I knew everything about sacrifice. I knew what it was like to see people be sacrificed. And none of them were willing to do it. And I said, "Okay, Jesus, if you're up there and you really died for me, you sacrificed yourself for me."
All right, let's go for the emotional close-up. The emotional, slow close-up. Ready? 1, 2, 3, pan.
You know, you were stupid. You were stupid to do that. I mean, why would you do something like that? If you're God, you're so real, prove it to me. Prove it. So I clenched my fists and I closed my eyes and I stood there waiting for something to happen. I thought, you know, if he's God, he's going to move the earth, or there'll be a bright light or something, you know. But God threw me a curveball. He did something that I would have never expected. He moved past all the Satanism. He moved past all the hurt. He moved past all those icy walls. He reached in with his loving hand, reached around my cold heart, and poured into me a love that I had never felt since I was a little boy. I never knew what it was like to be loved. I never knew what it was like to be taken in my mother's arms or my father's arms and to say, "I love you. I'm going to protect you."
Sorry, I got something in my eye.
Oh, wow. Wow. I'm sitting here going, oh, bullshit.
No, I really got something in my eye, man.
Right, baby.
You really pulled on my heartstrings, man.
It is one of those things to me, if you really want to believe in something and you're trying to struggle and pull towards something, and somebody presents you with a passionate enough argument about something, you will end up believing what they're saying and deciding to go with what they are. And he was obviously at that age, if this was true, just looking to be accepted, just looking for that validation of love and compassion, if that is really true. But at the same note, the story just sounds so far-fetched that I want to scream bullshit so hard. And
yeah, I'm sure he's okay. First of all, let's back up a little bit. Everything that he's claimed, if it's true, he has a responsibility to, and obviously it's not true. I mean, we just know it's not true. He's if it is true, he has a responsibility to, first of all, make sure that those people, that at least it's investigated by the police. If it's not true, and he's making this up to be a good Christian, we know that lying is a sin in the Bible. So he's committing a sin while he's trying to convince people to follow God by that passionate plea. So no matter what position you take, you're almost like, if you're going to believe this, you're forced in the position that what happened to him in the past was true. And if that's true, why? I mean, what's the rest of the story? We're only hearing half of that story. What happened with the rest of that story that he's not
exactly
telling?
I mean, like, how did, if his parents were these big time Satanists and all that, how did they react to him wanting to become Christian? I mean, did they just go, okay, that's fine? Or, I mean, what did he do the rest of his teen life if that was going on in his house and he converted to being a Christian? Mm-hmm. Did everything all of a sudden change at home? What happened? Because we're not giving the full story, like you said, if any of this is true.
Yeah. And you know, like in drug rehab programs like AA, they have a step where you have to make amends for stuff that you did in the past. So like if you did any kind of wrongdoing or something like that, or you have to like make amends for it and go back and try to heal it, try to fix the situation. So, but a lot of that is based in Christian ideology. So if he turned his life over to God and he was this, you know, this awful, evil Satanist before, he also has a responsibility to go back and fix his past, right?
As far as I can see, yes, he's supposed to go and beg for forgiveness for the ones he hurt.
Yeah. So he's not talking about that. He's not talking about how he made amends for his awful past. You know, that's the other thing I just don't get. It's like they tell us these really awful, horrible stories, and then like, okay, so what happened? Oh, I turned myself over to God and everything was okay. It's like, okay, everything is okay for you. What about those animals? What about those people? What about all those things you just mentioned? It's like, what happened with that? Just because you turn your life over to God doesn't mean that somehow those animals and those people magically come back to life.
Nope. And honestly, it like we said, if anything of this was actually true, there's a lot of loopholes and a lot of gaps, and it's just I don't know why people didn't stop and ask him.
Right. Right. All right, let's get on with it.
Are susceptible to being drawn into the occult?
I certainly do. I know of many Christian people who tamper with the occult. Many Christian people who go to...
They tamper with the occult?
Only tamper?
Well, how do they tamper with it? Do they like throw a Jimmy into the mix? I mean, what do they do? Do they loosen the bolts in the occult? How do they tamper with it?
Do they giggle maniacally? Do they giggle like a madman as they're cutting the rope and letting the theater curtain drop on the people?
Fortune tellers and have their palms read. There are many Christians who read their horoscopes, many Christians who read occultic books. And the thing about it is many Christians think that just because they've come to Jesus Christ and he has forgiven them, that somehow that puts a magical protection around them and they can do whatever they want to do. They can tamper in the occult. But the Lord points out really clear that
he's not using that word correctly. It's not tamper in the occult. I'm trying to figure out which word he's trying to use. I think maybe he means
dabble.
Dabble, yeah, dabble in the occult or something. But it's not tamper, because tamper is like, you know, you do something with some, but you do something to try and, you know, nullify it or kind of like sabotage it.
Yeah.
You open yourself up to Satan. If you give him a foothold in your life, he will affect you. He will take that legal right, and he will cause your life to be one living mess.
Do you think that heavy metal music can be a tantalization into the occult?
I think of one young boy that his parents were Christians. The boy began to listen to King Diamond. Some of these guys who are professed Satanists and have very strong satanic lyrics in their music. He began to really concentrate all of his efforts, and he'd come home, he'd go in his room, and he'd begin to listen to this music over and over and over and over again. That kid had built an altar, he was worshiping Satan, and he was doing it from the lyrics of this music. And the parents thought that by going into his room, that somehow they were going into his area, you know, that they didn't have a right to do that. But if they had just taken a little effort to go in and see what was going on, they could have saved their child from killing himself, which he did, killing himself in the name of Satan. But that was a gradual process. It wasn't something that happened overnight. I think of one young lady, her name was Patty. She was the daughter of a minister, and this girl felt so alone. She felt so rejected by her church group, by her parents. She didn't feel like she fit in. She didn't feel like she belonged. But she had been invited to a party. Now, the people who threw this party were practicing Satanists.
And remember now, this is Patty.
They saw her coming a mile off, and they said, Patty, we can see that you are a special person. Patty, we see you've got a special ability. You've got some kind of a psychic ability.
I love how this supposed party, it just seems to just stop and like, okay, this unknown Patty comes in and suddenly they're like swarming around her going, come, be with us. Everything else was awful. We'll keep you safe here, Patty.
Join us.
I get to join us. Join us. It's like if you go into a party for the first time, everybody ignores you. Nobody knows you. You don't know anybody. You walk around, you try to like mingle, try to talk to somebody. I mean, high school parties, I'm assuming that's what this probably was, is not everybody just stops and welcomes you.
You know things that other people don't know, right? And Patty would say, yes, that's right. They began to show her approval. They began to have these parties where they had seances.
And they gave her cookies and cupcakes.
And ice cream.
And ice cream.
And a bunny.
And a bunny.
Have drugs. Now, it escalated to the point where she was involved in a sexual orgy. And they took Polaroid pictures.
That sounds like a pretty nice party.
That sounds like a weekend at Bernie's party, but still.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I noticed something, though. His first story, he didn't give a name to the pastor's kid who killed himself.
Mm-hmm.
But he gave a name to this person.
Yes, Patty.
Yeah.
Love her. They brought the pictures to her, and they said, now, we're doing this for your good, Patty. you've got to become a part of this coven. And if you don't, we're going to show your parents what you've done.
Blackmailed her.
Oh, no.
Of course, what did she do? She became part of the coven.
Of course.
And the minute she did that, she went into rebellion. A spirit of rebellion fell over her. She became a high priestess of that coven. And totally...
Wait a second. So they blackmailed her, and she became a high priestess of this coven? Like, that's it? But this poor guy, he had to have chicken's blood spread all of him. He had to be passed around and sexually abused. And then he was hoping, after he turns life over to Satan, he was hoping to become a member of the coven and to become a high priest. And then Patty just waltzes into this party, gets welcomed in, and made a high priestess?
Dear Lord.
Man, what a shit. Wow, if I was this guy, I'd be pissed off with Patty. Patty got off easy.
I know. Shit.
I mean, was it the same coven or was it a different one? I mean, I guess it was there were probably multiple covens going on, satanic covens going on where this guy grew up. Just all like you couldn't turn a corner without hitting a satanic coven somewhere.
Forsake all of the Christian teaching in her life. And why was that? Because she didn't feel the love of Jesus Christ in her life from Christian people.
In September,
that explains it.
1990 in Washington, D.C.
Huh?
I mean, it didn't really say what happened to Patty, if she lived, died, was sacrificed, or what.
Well, she found Christ, so it was okay. Yeah. Let's go back.
Feel the love of Jesus Christ. She went into rebellion. A spirit of rebellion fell over her. She became a high priestess of that coven and totally forsaked all of the Christian teaching in her life. And why was that? Because she didn't feel the love of Jesus Christ in her life from Christian people.
Oh, okay. So she didn't feel it. So I guess apparently she's still a high priestess of that coven.
No, I guess so. Maybe she's happier.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, sounds like she didn't really have to do much to become a high priestess. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they treat it differently for high priests and high priestesses.
Maybe
that's what it is. Yeah.
September 1990 in Washington, D.C., an international gathering of leaders of the Church of Satan from across America and Europe was held. The objectives were to plan a strategy and perform rituals designed to launch Satan's all-out assault on the true Church of Jesus Christ and to work destruction upon Christians, especially Christian leaders. It was hoped that this convention would unleash full satanic power around the earth and harvest additional souls for Satan.
What?
I don't know.
I got to see this. Oh, good. We're going through another door.
Yay, bad CGI.
Woohoo! Doors of death. Yay. Ooh.
Drawings by children reveal how they were forced to participate in atrocious satanic rituals involving animal and human sacrifice, sometimes even compelled to eat raw meat and drink blood.
Oh, these drawings again.
Yeah.
It's detail how children were deliberately trapped in cages or graves for hours at a time, sometimes even with snakes. How they were defecated and urinated on, sodomized and raped by adults in satanic ceremonies. Sometimes adults would wear robes similar to Christian clergy and perform rituals in Christian churches, not only to mock God.
Wait a second. I thought we were going to hear about that international Satanist convention to take over the world. What happened to that?
I don't know. They just jumped to an older video that we've seen as their proof. This is their research, taking other videos.
Yeah, we're going to use research by our own stuff.
To terrorize the children against a belief in biblical Christianity.
Is the court system able to handle this type of philosophy? Do they believe in Satanism? I mean, a lot of people just laugh at it.
Satanists believe that sexual perversions combined with the spilling of innocent blood conjures up the strongest powers. Reports show animals, including dogs, cats, goats, and horses, being savagely skinned alive, having their blood drained, organs removed, or being split open and nailed to upside-down crosses.
It's believed that if you just kill an animal, that's not much good. You've got to kill it slowly because, and this will be true of a person too, of course, that the screams and the agony.
What?
Every time Mr. BS talks, I can't help but laugh a little.
Oh, okay.
The animal would contribute to the high level of power.
What results we had after just the first ritual. We were moved to throw every effort into the successive workings.
So I love how they just keep editing these various parts together so that the underlying theme, they're leading it in a certain direction, but each clip is taken out of its context and mixed with another clip so that it seems to have this continual thought, but they're unrelated. They're not talking about, they're not related clips.
No, they're not. They're totally opposite. And it's just, I just realized how horrible in the late 80s, early 90s putting videos together was.
Yeah.
The power, the response.
Animal sacrifices is commonplace today. And in the order that I was involved in years ago, there was even human sacrifice.
These various satanic covens that need to have this kind of sacrifice for their high festival days. And it's sort of I hate to say it like this, but it's like supply and demand. The more satanic covens there are, the more children and babies and teenagers are going to be brought out and sacrificed. And again, it is the destruction of innocence that they seek.
From one of the nicer, quieter, more beautiful parts of England, namely the county of Surrey, where people would find it hard to believe that these things go on, there is a confession from a woman who said that her baby, when born, was used as a human sacrifice in satanic rituals. She said it herself. She has said it in public. What does one make of that other than a heartbreaking confession to something that's been a guilty secret for a long time?
You did things just because they were evil, just because you knew they hurt God, not because they gave you pleasure, but because you knew that it was a sin against God.
So they would only do that just because it hurts God? That doesn't make any sense.
That's weird.
That's weird.
Yeah. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. They only do it because they know it hurts God. I thought they did it for power, for lust.
Yeah,
and now
that's what he always says. They do it for power and lust and all that stuff. And now he's saying they do it just to hurt God.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
I had a 17-year-old boy call me and tell me that a year prior to his call, he was considering joining a satanic group. And he said the only thing that stopped him from joining was that he had to violate every one of the 10 commandments. He said he was willing to do that.
So this goes along with this whole, the Bible passage about Satan makes everything the opposite. So you would have to actually go through and break all the commandments. Which
except they were pushing for him to kill one of his parents. And that snapped into reality.
The secularization of our society, the media, schools, churches, and government institutions has created a vacuum whereby Satanism has been able to move in and capture the hearts and souls of a vulnerable generation. At no time in modern history has occultism in its various forms been so widely practiced as it is today. Here are some things that concerned parents can look out for.
You can see warning signs sometimes in a perfectly happy, healthy child who suddenly changes so dramatically in his behavior. Or a child who begins to show signs or suspicions of drug abuse.
You will see the same withdrawal symptoms as you would with drug abuse, where there is a change in personality, aggression, a rebelliousness towards the parents, difficulty in sleeping, temper tantrums, and wanting to stay in their room so that they can play with the altar or call upon the gods.
Pay attention to what, his notebooks, things like that. What's he really scratching or drawing on his notebooks, What's he doing at home? Is he withdrawn into himself? Is he avoiding the rest of the family?
The greatest protection a parent can do is to keep an open line of communication with the.
I just thought of something. It would be so convenient if all the people who, end up locking their children in the basement for years on end, force feeding them carrots. And it would be nice if people like that were like occultists so that they could actually find them so easily. All they would have to do is just like, oh, okay, well, they practice the occult, so obviously they're up to all this. That would be so convenient. But unfortunately, reality, that's not the way it works. There are people who practice the occult who do absolutely nothing of that sort. They're just regular people, wake up, go to work, come home, and that's it. They're not up to anything. They're not running around kidnapping children. They're not locking people up in cages. They're not doing all these things. There are actual people out there going around doing harmful stuff to other human beings and getting, sometimes getting away with it, sometimes getting caught for it. But if it was only that easy, if only there was one unifying factor throughout all of these things, like let's say all of them wore red shirts, that would be so convenient. It would make the police's job so much easier. But unfortunately, that's not the way it works. It's just not that easy. I wish it was, but it's just not that easy.
It's not. And to just pretty much say because you believe in one thing, you have to be this or that you do that, it's kind of getting to that point of they're pushing. I had it in my head a minute ago. They're pushing their own agenda to fearmonger you away from something that you might find interesting or you like, just to try to make you think you're a bad person for liking that and you need to like something else.
Mm-hmm.
They're bullying you, but in their way, it's a justifying bullying.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And it's also, like you said, it's manipulating people through fear, essentially,
Yeah.
So, all right.
Young people. That's the central theme that comes up over and over with kids. Well, I can't talk to my mom. I can't talk to my father.
Let them know right from the start. It's okay to talk to you. You're not going to condone them doing things wrong, but you're not going to stop loving them either.
It's no good shouting and getting mad with the kid. It is time to put your family in order.
If we don't handle this now properly in our church by teaching our Christian children where their protection lies, where their faith is, who is Satan, and where he is in position to the Christian gospel, then we are going to be rendering the next generation useless in defeating this problem, which is just escalating.
The Bible tells us that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and these spirit forces in the high places. Paul the Apostle also tells that the world system is under the control of Satan, and that the God of this world has blinded the eyes of many people so that they cannot see. If you do not yield your life to Jesus Christ and know the power of Jesus in your life, then your life will come under the influence and the control and the power of Satan. Jesus said concerning Satan that the enemy has come to rob, to kill, and to destroy. And yielding your life to the satanic powers will ultimately destroy you. In contrast, Jesus said, "But I have come that you might have life, and that more abundantly." The Lord offers to you an abundant life today. Satan offers destruction. A man must make his choice whether he will yield to the powers of God or to the powers of darkness.
I don't know. That's a tough one.
Darkness sounds a bit better right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think, Loki? Which choice are you going to make?
I'm going to go with darkness today.
Okay.
I think it sounds like a better deal. I mean, it doesn't sound like it's getting ripped off.
Mm-hmm. But it is but it is a path of darkness and destruction and murder.
Yeah. To each their own, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Well, what do people in the chat say? What do they think?
Let's see.
You can only choose. Well, actually, I'll allow a third option. You can have a third option if you want. If you must, you can have a third option.
Path of Darkness. So far, I'm seeing one vote Path of Darkness.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna choose. I'm gonna choose neither. But I just love it. I was like, okay, it's either one or the other. It's like you can either have this horrible, awful life, which Satan and murdering people, or you can choose Jesus, which is light of the world and loves you and all this happy, fuzzy, love, warm, fuzzy bunny crap stuff. It's like, okay, that's it. That's the only choice.
Apparently.
The consequences, it really doesn't make a choice, but it is just plain good sense to yield yourself to God. Within all of us, there is a God-shaped vacuum. Throughout the ages, man has attempted to fill that void with the things of the world. But it is only through a relationship with our Creator that we can be truly satisfied. His Holy Scriptures reveal the way in which we can be reconciled to God, and that is through the provisions of His Son, Jesus Christ. I'm Chuck Smith.
And I'm Carol Matriciana. Join us again for another edition of The Pagan Invasion.
Yay! And they're gonna go and pray.
Oh, dear lords. I'm just like, really?
Yeah, that was a bit much.
A bit much was when we're watching a former video again, because that's the clips and they're proof of what that they're telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, oh, we've seen this video before. Why are you making us watch this torture again?
Yeah, exactly. We have to watch this again. And I love how I keep seeing the same names pop up in all these videos, like Bill Schnoebelen and Carol Matriciano or whatever her name is. And these characters just keep popping up. Even that Hobbs guy, he's popped up in a video before.
Yeah, we've seen him like a couple of times.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. Right now, I'm working on a video about satanic ritual abuse with a guy named Greg Reed, and that's what I've been working on for the past like week. It's just so. It's not that it's not like I'm spending all this time with it. I mean, I have other stuff going on, but I keep making more work for myself because like I had to record the audio a couple of different times. And then also I decided to add some more audio because I felt like I wasn't. I started out like I didn't want to be harsh on the guy, and then
yeah,
I was just like, you know what, this is fucking bullshit. So I started being harsh on the guy. So I kind of created more work for myself, but I'm hoping to put that out on Wednesday.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've been looking for different little things to do videos on lately, mostly arts and craft related, because I kind of want to try to stick to that.
Mm-hmm.
Keyword is try. And right now, I mean, the only thing that I can come up with, I'm like, wait, I've already done that.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going through things and trying to figure out how I'm going to work this or work that, because I kind of want to finish Chalkboard Lady. Mm-hmm. But it's just one of those, I feel like I'm being a bad content creator because I ain't created shit lately. Because, yeah. All I know is looking at everything, I liked your last video with the dragon guy.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
And I'm just like, why can't I have cool friends like that? Oh wait.
Well, you know,
I'm a bitch.
You know what was really funny was this guy contacted me. He contacted me and he said, "Hey, I'd like to do a collaborative with you." And I was like, I wasn't familiar with him. I didn't recognize the name. At first, I was kind of hesitant. I was like, okay, you know, who, you know, because it was just like out of the blue. But apparently one of his viewers watches my videos and recommended me to him. And so I went and I checked out his channel. I was like, oh, okay, all right. So this guy's legit. He's not like, you know, like I thought it was a Christian troll. And so I contacted him back and I said, oh, okay, yeah, you know what? That'd be fun. I'd like to do that. And so I picked out a video and we did it. But yeah, he contacted me. And
I noticed most. Sorry.
That's all right. Go ahead.
I said I noticed most of his content is about rant videos and stuff like that, which is kind of cool, and helping out smaller channels as well, which is kind of cool of him. Mm-hmm. And I watched a few of his videos. I'm like, I like this guy. He's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So now I'm following him.
Oh, good. Good. Yeah, I'm glad. You know what? Maybe I could contact him and ask him if he wants to be on the show.
That would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll contact him and ask him if he wants to be on the show. I'll see if he's available maybe for this Sunday. If not, maybe we can schedule him out. But we'll definitely, you know, we'll put it in the title what date he's going to be with us. Yeah, because he does some interesting videos, and he incorporates artwork from other people that he's met along the way. So he has like people who edit for him and give him music and give him artwork and stuff like that. So he likes to reach out to other people. So
yeah, I did enjoy watching the video, and I do enjoy his content. It's one of those things of, you don't find very many people who are from other walks of life who watch these videos like we do, mm-hmm. and they're like, what? And it's kind of fresh. He's like, whoa, wait, they do what? Which his expression on his little avatar made me laugh so much. I just love how he does that. And I know there's a program that I have, FaceRig, that lets me somewhat do that, but it's more of a moving animation that moves with my face. Oh. So if I'm talking, the avatar is talking.
Oh, interesting.
But it doesn't like it does not like live streaming. I'd have to use OBS and a bunch of other things to get it to work.
No, what is that program?
It's called FaceRig. I have Steam, and I bought it on Steam for like $20. Actually, I think it's lower now because it's the older version. But you can download different avatars and things like that. So.
Because it would be cool if I could figure out some way to connect my little avatar with that.
That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know if there would be. I don't know. I'll have to check that program out, because right now I just have all these various card images, and I just, you know, depending upon which frame I'm on, I just swap it out. So it's sort of, it's kind of like animation, but not really, because it's just, I'm just changing to a different image, but not frequently, just infrequently. Like, you know, after a couple of seconds, I change the image. But it would be cool if I could figure out some way to rig the eyes and the eyebrows and the mouth and stuff like that, and make expressions with it. That would be cool.
Yeah. I think they do have a little devil avatar. So it would kind of work for you too. I mean, I haven't played with it enough on the Mac to see how well it works. Let's see. Actually, I can't use it on my Mac because I played with it on Soren's computer.
Oh, okay. And I'm sorry, what was the name of it again?
It's called Face Rig. FACERIG.
Okay, Face Rig. Okay, I'm gonna make a note of that. Face Rig. Yeah, I'll check it out. I'll see if it can work for me. Because I like my little character, and it'd be cool if I could. I mean, if I had an animation program, like if I had something more sophisticated than the software that I use right now, I could put in keyframes and animate various parts. I could bring in, like, so right now in Photoshop, I have all the layers with, like, let's say eyebrows and eyes and mouth and the chin and all this stuff, so that I can put those into different positions. But if I had this software, I could incorporate all those as sprites and then overlay them, and then, you know, keyframe one so that they move and the mouth opens and all that stuff. But that would be a lot more work.
It would. I mean, just to get certain things animated, I mean, just trying to get a GIF to work sometimes is a lot of work. I mean, I've done a lot of layouts in HTML codes where I'm asked to put certain GIFs or find certain things, and I have to go through videos, download them, do the cuts, and do all that stuff. And I'm like, this is, like, for me, about 3 hours of work just for one little screenshot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And my videos are usually, like, you know, 20, 25 minutes long. And maybe my portion of the video is, like, let's say maybe maybe half of that. Like, let's say it's maybe 10 minutes or, you know, 12 and a half minutes. Still, that's a lot of animating. 10 minutes of animating is a lot, even with keyframes, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, that's why my videos, if you haven't noticed, I just give up and just show on camera. Because sometimes my facial expressions are so much more better.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot easier. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. And I mean, a few people have asked me to do react videos to things, and I'm just like, I don't have the time for that editing. And I'd have to download the video. I would have to download my computer on the Mac, or I'd have to do it on Soren's, and I'd have to try to take the video from the Mac, put it on there, do all the editing and everything, and then bring it back over here to post it, because they have perma login on their web browsers for Drunken Heathen and their own channel. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
but it sometimes just seems like it's time consuming, and a lot of people don't realize that about a lot of things in videos and on YouTube, that sometimes their creators can't pump out as many videos as they wish they can a day.
Yeah, well, it's hard. I mean, especially when you're a small content creator, it's like, you know, it's just a hobby. It's not like you can dedicate all your time to it, you know. Like some big YouTubers, like if you have, like, you know, like over 125,000 subscribers, you know, I mean, you can kind of dedicate your time to it because you're making enough money where it's an investment. But most small content creators, if we make any money, it's not very much. And those of us who aren't, now new algorithm thing, you're not making any money.
Nope. I mean, you have to have over 1,000 subs and over 4,000 hours viewed on your videos alone.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in the monetized zone, and then I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I had made at least $20.
Right. Yeah.
And now I'm getting most of my videos, I'm getting 30 to 40 views on finally. And I'm like, yay, I'm happy about that. I mean, I know I'm not going to make this my career. I wish I could, but I'm just enjoying having fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's still nice to have, you know, to get that little bit of money every so often.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's a nice incentive. But anyhow, so it's 9 o'clock now, so we should probably wrap it up. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, Loki's Witch, and Dorian. Dorian had to cut out earlier. I guess I guess he got called into work or something.
Family related.
Oh, well, okay. I hope everything's okay with his family.
I do too. I'm going to light candles for him just to make sure everything's fine because he is my buddy.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to set on fire.
Yeah, right. Well, good. Maybe we'll find out about that next week. And I will contact the Names Junkie and see if he wants to be a guest for next Sunday. And if not, maybe. Go ahead.
I think it would be awesome if he could.
Yeah, I think so too. And if not, maybe a Sunday after that. So, all right, everybody. Thank you so much. And remember, if you're going to choose the devil or Jesus, choose Jesus.